p.m. It is March 17th. If we'd all rise for our invocation, which will be given by MJ Romano.
Good evening.
Jenny, start talking.
Hello.
Red's good. There you go.
The earth is the Lord's and all that is in it, the world and all who live in it. Let's pray. Lord, as we come together as those who have been entrusted to care for our community, we pray that your spirit of wisdom and insight, caution and creativity, bravery and truth will be upon us. Those elected, those employed, may you guide every thought and word. May all possess understanding, a willingness to listen, and courage to make corrections. And may love bind us all together in you. Amen.
Thank you. If you'll stay standing for a Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Councilwoman Santoya.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Estrada.
Ayala.
Here.
Ochoa.
Here.
Ramirez.
Present.
Velasquez.
Here.
Stoker.
Here.
Montoya.
Here.
Riga.
Here.
All right. Minutes of the previous meeting. I'd entertain a motion.
I motion to approve the minutes as read.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask you to vote. That passes unanimously. I'm going to switch things up real quick on this agenda. I want to give our employee service awards before citizen participation. I'd like to thank the employees that are out here. I would like to start with Isaiah Aragon. Is Isaiah here? No? I'll still read about Isaiah even though he didn't show up. Isaiah is a maintenance worker in our street department. He started in 2018. He actually started as a part-time industrial park / property management laborer. In 2020, January 3rd of 2020, he went to full-time maintenance worker in the street department. So that's 5 years of service from Isaiah. We thank him very much for his hard work and dedication, and hopefully we can see him here in another 5 years and celebrate his tenure. Another 5 year, I do know that he is here because I've seen him in the back, is Derek Blea. So Derek, if you come on up. Derek Blea started in 2019 and part of 2020 as a part-time mower operator in the Parks Department. On March 1st, which was a great day, that was my birthday in 2020, you became a full-time maintenance worker in the Parks Department. So you have 5 years of service, Derek. I'm going to come and give you your pin. Thank you for all your hard work you do for the city. I see Derek always out and about at all our parks. A couple years ago at Early Settlers Day, we had an incident with some dirt that did not get put away properly. Derek was out there on his day off. He helped me shovel that dirt back up, and he really cares about this city. So thank you for all you do, Derek.
Thank you, Derek.
You want
Just saying. Save me some time.
Here, Mike.
If Christian would put these in order.
Well, point of order, if you would have went in the agenda order.
That is your certificate.
And then this
Is your you got fancy. 5 years of service. Thank you, Derek. I have no problem getting my steps in. All right, so for this next one, this is a big milestone. 15 years for Kimberly Gallegos. Kimberly Gallegos is our program and outreach coordinator at the library. On March 1st, 2010, she started as a part-time library technician. And then just 10 days later, it says March 10th. No, this is wrong?
Yeah, that's wrong.
Uh-oh.
I was always just the programming and outreach coordinator.
So you didn't even have a 9-day stint as a library technician?
No. No,
So did you start on March 1st?
I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll just edit this. Okay, rewind. You ready, Adrian?
I'm ready.
Okay. On March 10th, on March 1st, she started as the full-time program and outreach coordinator. Kimberly does a lot for our library. She is always help lead the summer reading program.
Yes.
Yes. Any type of way she can find to get the youth involved, to get more people involved in the library, Kim has done an amazing job. She is a vital part of this community. Her family also plays a big role in our community. Her husband works for the city as well too. But Kim does a lot for our youth and for the community at large, and I thank you for that, Kim.
Thank you.
Hey, if they got 9 days of that position, I would still include that on the list.
Quick promotion.
Your pen, you got a pen. See, Dawn was here and she assured me all this information is accurate, right, Christian? The next one is 20 years for Lydia JB. Is she here? No. Well, I'm hoping that she started on January 3rd, 2005. Is that your birthday? All right. As a part-time, maybe she started as a part-time library page and then later renamed as the patron service technician. She also plays a big role, not just at the library, but in our community. She has a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate everything she's done for the city for 20 years. So thank you, Lydia, whenever we see her. Thank you for all her service. And last but not least on this list is another 20-year employee, I think. Chris Arweo, who is our electric superintendent in the electric department. On August 30th, who has August 30th as their birthday?
August 31st.
Oh, we almost went the perfect day. On August 30th, he started as a part-time laborer in the electric department?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Something like that. But it
Close. Then on February 16th, 2005, he became a full-time groundman in the electric department.
Yes.
On January 1st, 2008, he moved up to a lineman apprentice. And then, it didn't even have a date, it just says October of 24, you became the line crew chief.
Yes.
And then in 2021, you became, well, that's backwards. In 2021, you became the electric superintendent.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right?
Yeah.
Okay. Chris does an amazing job. Him and his crew are always out there in any weather. They're like the postman, rain, sleet, or snow. They are out there making sure that we all have power, making sure that, your air conditioning has power to run, your oxygen machines are doing that. And they have to try their best to always stay safe and make sure they go home safely to their families. Because when they're out in the elements, it's a dangerous job without the elements added, but when you add those in there, it makes it super dangerous. So we thank you for everything that you do. For even 1 year is amazing, but for you to do this for 20 years, thank you so much for your dedication to the city, for everything you've done for this city, and I hope you continue to do more great work into the future.
Thank you.
And if anyone ever wants to hear Chris talk, he does speak at our utility board meetings monthly, so you guys can hear everything he has to say about our department. You get your pin here.
That's 20 years around electricity and heights and all that.
Yeah.
And wind.
It's been awesome. I was just glad the city gave me an opportunity to do something I really love. And it's been amazing. Still have a lot to learn, so never stop learning.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's your certificate. Thank you for 20 years. There's your pin.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You know, Chris got to talk for a little bit. If Derek wants to get up or Kim, you guys can say a couple of things. But no, okay. I just didn't want Chris to get all the signs. And then these ones we'll get them to theirs sometime after the meeting. All right, now we'll move on to citizen participation. You have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record. And come on up.
Maybe it's just me.
Maybe you're breaking the ice.
All right. Well, my name's David Polly. I live at 622 Colorado Avenue. And is
What's it?
The microphone's not on.
Yeah, it is.
I think it
Can you
is.
hear me
Speak into it.
now? Okay, sorry about that.
Try to adjust it because it's usually the direction you go.
Okay, how's that? Better?
They have,
Better?
We can only do so much with what we have.
Okay.
Last name again?
It's Polly, P-O-L-L-E-Y. First name is David. 622 Colorado Avenue. I was here at the last meeting for the Neighborhood Watch, and we kind of ran into some difficulties there. I went to the bank to see if we could, have a bank account with a couple of people's names on it, and you need to have a lot of legal type forms and things like that, and we didn't have any of that kind of stuff. And then there was also some issues maybe with the senior center and other things that were going on. So we, making having a set time, will happen at some point. But we were starting to lose our kind of grassroots with our idea for the police department and the fire department with them moving and and their adjustments and whatever. But I have another idea, and so the bank lady told me, we can have a bucket and collect money that way, and that's pretty legal, and we can give it to you guys. And so my idea, and I approached a couple of businesses, but nobody has to come up with anything up front, but basically a restaurant or a business that wanted to participate would, on a specific day or time, would have a program where we come in as patrons and say we're here for the police department and the fire department of La Junta, and we would order our food and say I spend $20, 10% would go to that program, and then I'd have the opportunity to match it or add more, and that is the receptacle then is that business owner, and then they would it's a one-day program kind of thing, but maybe over a course of a week, there's different times that would work for different businesses and so forth. But basically, it would be really great to have a lot of people in our community that are coming together, like-minded, and I thought, we could call this the Neighborhood Watch Posse, the old days, we had a bank robbery or something, we would, I have a rifle but no bullets, so I would go to the hardware and get my bullets or get my horse fixed up, but we would all work together to take care of whatever the problem is. And so I think if we can do that, I talked to a couple of businesses, the Copper Kitchen and the Bistro down there on Colorado, and they were very receptive, So I think if we can make an adjustment for their particular businesses and ideas and so forth, and maybe we can get other businesses. We have a couple of weeks before the next meeting, and if we can get like minds together, we would be able to come back and name those people if that's okay, if this doesn't break any kind of laws or anything like that, and maybe do it on Facebook and so forth. And we'll see what else we can do for, setting it up and getting it out to the public. And then that time would come, and maybe we could have a couple extra dollars for the guys to, help adjust with whatever they need that's beyond the budget, for their moves. And I don't know if that's a bad idea, but and I think it would be pretty good. And I think everybody can be a part of it equally, So I don't know if it's going to be a problem to work with the city and name businesses and so forth, and or collect money in that way and just pass it. But I think if we can figure out the things that we need to do, it would be a very doable thing. But anyway, if I can leave my phone number, and if anybody wants to be a part of the Neighborhood Watch Posse, my name is David Polly, and it's 719-492-0913, and we'll get out there, and like I say, we can adjust. You can make it just perfect for your business. So if Wednesdays are slow, that would be the day, and if we can line the customers out the door, you see it's a benefit to them. It's a benefit to the community, and you get to enjoy some nice food and be with your family and friends, and I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, perfect.
May I ask a question?
You sure can.
Are you staying for the remainder of the meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I'll cover what you said about the senior center in my report.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anybody else?
I'll give you a call in regards to the account stuff.
Okay,
And I'll reach out to you.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Anyone else for citizen participation? See, David, you started a good time.
Nobody wants to be first. Hello, my name is James Osborne. I live at 3 Jackson Circle here in Lahana. My daughters and I have really been studying a lot about pollinators and insects and doing science fair and stuff like that. And we just would like to request to see if maybe we could add some flowers in the Brick and Tile Park down in the creek. We think it'd be a great place for them to grow, and maybe citizens, this summer or next summer be able to see butterflies and hummingbirds and stuff there. Just an idea we'd like to see if we can.
Absolutely. I think you need to get with Brock Hinkhouse.
Okay.
Get with him and go over your plans and your ideas. I do know at one point when we were doing all that, they wanted to keep it as natural and water efficient, I guess you could say, with what they were putting down there. But I think it's a great idea to get that type of flowers and pollen in there to bring bees and hummingbirds like that.
I think it was. Yeah,
Bethany.
Yes,
And
there you
Stephen
go.
Nielsen.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they were looking for native species, so surely there's native species that attract pollinators. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we've been
Yeah.
planning over the last few years and studying. It would only be native plants that don't spread or aren't invasive. They just kind of grow where you plant them.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Great
Yeah,
idea.
so just make sure you get with Brock and we'll keep up with him to see what your guys' progress is. And thank you guys for taking that upon yourselves and doing that.
Thank you.
Sure.
That's
Thank you
awesome.
for your time.
Thank you.
Anyone else for citizen participation? Oh, I thought she was getting up to talk. She was going with her dad. Going once, going twice. All right, moving on. New business. Mrs. Harris.
All right, and new liquor licenses. The first is an application for renewal of a hotel and restaurant liquor license by Alicia Lucero for Mexico City Cafe. The second is an application for renewal of a hotel and restaurant liquor license by Farguson LLC for Boss Hogs Restaurant. In this case, Mr. Estrada, are you familiar with these two applications?
Yes, sir.
And when you discussed them with the city clerk, did you learn whether she had received all of the necessary documentation?
She had received all necessary documentation.
Did she give any message that about a recommendation for the council?
She recommended that these licenses be approved.
Excellent, thank you.
Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve the renewal applications for Mexico City Cafe and Boss Hog Saloon.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Do I have a motion? Or is that, we did both?
We did it both.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Mrs. Harris.
Next is a first reading of an ordinance making supplemental appropriations to the electric fund for the calendar year 2025.
All right. On this one, I'd like to use what is now available to us in Bob's Rules of Order, which is to have the discussion first. So on this one, we can go ahead and start with the discussion on this. This is something that was brought to the utility board, I almost said the electrical board, the utility board, and there was some disagreement on where the language on where the money was coming from. I think we have kind of cleared that up as best we could. But if we could have Mr. Jackson come to the front so we can ask a couple of more clarifying questions just so everyone's on the same page. And you may need to be called up too, Elisa, but not yet. So do you want to briefly explain to council what this is?
Yes.
For those of us that are not on utility board?
Yes. The request is for to replace 2 breakers at the light plant sub. These breakers are the transmission breakers that protect our main transformer. And being proactive as requested by the utility board, we had a COP engineers come in and do a review of our system to identify areas that were weak, old, aged. These 2 breakers are aged. They've reached the end of their useful life and starting to leak a little oil. We see problems coming with them, and these are one of the most critical items listed in that survey. So we'd like to amend the budget to include the monies to pay for the 2 breakers.
Now, in utility, you also cited the JK study. When I looked through the JK study, I didn't see anything about these being...
That was confusing on my part. The JK study was about the rate pass-through, not about these breakers. This study came from Colorado Light and Power, COP engineers. And we did this in conjunction with ARPA, and all of the ARPA member utilities did this survey so we could strengthen our system. JK study will affect finances this year.
Okay. I went through it. I think Councilman Velasquez went through the JK, and then we were stumped as to where we're supposed to find that information.
That was confusing on my part.
So when, I'm sorry. Okay. When
Mike,
was
though.
the,
Mike.
Oh. When was the Colorado Light and Power, when was that assessment done?
This last year, 2024.
In 2024?
Yes.
What time of the year?
Started in May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that report available?
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When was it completed?
Don't make me lie to you, but I think it was in November, December. I have a copy of it.
And the reason I'm asking is because budget time, and we're looking at an ask of $680,000+.
We did our capital budget in May, June, July of 2024 for 2025. We did not have a inkling that we were going to ask for this right then. That's why it's not on a regular cycle, because we start our capital budgets June, July, so this wasn't available to us at that time.
So how is this going to impact what you would anticipate being asked for the 26 budget then?
2026 budget, there's other items that we always have in the budget as capital items. Underground lines, new overhead lines, replacing the system as we can. That is our plan.
And does that also come out of retained earnings, or does that come out of a different pot?
Capital funds request every year. We put together a budget, and you'll see when you look at these papers. We try and operate within the income versus expenses, just like everybody in the group. But some of the capital line items we pay for with the depreciation. there's a depreciation line item in the budget.
What is that fund right now, the depreciated line item?
Well, the depreciation for this year's budget,
Right, how much is available if we're using 683,000? I'm curious how much is in the
in our
depreciation.
savings? Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. On page 38 of this document, you can see in our investments, there's $3,278,188.70.
And that's just for electrical?
That's just the electric fund.
Okay.
Real quick, Lisa, if you'd step up and explain to council what your concerns were, just so they all know that too, because the utility board does know, but council is not aware.
The concern I had is, Bill had said retained earnings, and that, he was looking at the original December financial where it showed a $650,000 profit. That profit, as you know, because we sent out the 2024, is only $250,000. However, his retained earnings was the line item in revenue that says transfer to retained earnings. My retained earnings is $12 million in assets, liabilities, and revenue, everything. And so it was very distinguishing where I'm like, that's not money. And he's like, yes, it is. And then we realized he's talking about a line item which comes from savings. So last year's profit of $250,000. I'd like to also add, and I don't think even he mentioned this in the utility board, this is a 3-year project just to order this and get it in and install it. So this isn't something that's going to happen in a month.
We need to get it ordered. We ordered a transformer for one of our big businesses in 2023. It just got here. We ordered it for $56,000, and when they delivered it, it cost $70,000. So prices are subject to change, and we want to get the work authorized and underway so that we can tie these folks into the price that they quoted.
And yeah, there is $3.2 million in investments that would be used for this. And I agree with Bill, the purpose of depreciation, if you have a business, depreciation is something you put on your taxes and you get to claim the expense over a long period of time. If you're a government, you don't actually we don't file taxes. And so depreciation for us is just to hold on to money so when an asset is completely depreciated and loss of its life, we can replace it with something new. And that's what Bill's doing now. But the issue was the retained earnings, how he took it, how I took it, and where the money was coming from. And I think we've cleared that up for the utility board, and I think we cleared it up for council.
And these transformers, going back even prior to 2023, have been kind of a watch item.
Since
item.
COVID hit, and then we have hurricanes and damages down on the eastern seaboard and down south. So those items are of high demand. And let's say we order 2, and General Electric folks, they order 40. You get in the queue, you have to get in the queue to get your place.
But they'll honor the price quoted as today.
They will honor that price up to a point unless their materials cost more. Just like that last transformer, right at the top of their purchase order, it says, price is subject to availability and cost of materials.
Were there other items on the survey from the Colorado Light and Power? Or was this the only item?
No, there's several.
And why was the transformers chosen to be what we're tackling?
These breakers are the protection from the 69, which is the transmission, that's the feed to the town.
Okay.
If those go out or they're not there, then it can damage our main transformer. That main transformer is well over $1 million to replace it. Plus, everybody in Lahana's in the dark. These are critical to me, to protecting our system.
Thank you.
It's kind of like when you do an inspection on a house and they say you need to replace the roof, but drywall over here might need to be patched. You know, replace the roof before you do the drywall.
Yeah.
And this is one of those, this is a roof.
So Bill, in line with Maureen's question,
Yes.
so there were other items on this. Is there
Yes.
Is there a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan made with those two?
Yes, we have a plan to replace other breakers, circuit breakers within the system at the plant, and those will be in the regular capital budgets for 2026 and 2027. Because we have a 3-year plan that's in our budget book, but we also have a 5 and a 10-year plan. So yes, all of those, everything in that study is part of our replacement plan. We're just trying to do the most critical first.
Do you know what the total cost for everything that was on the list was?
It's in the millions of dollars.
And has that report gone to the utilities board? The engineering report from Colorado Light and Power?
No, that hasn't, because it's operations report. That was for the superintendent and the budgetary people to the people that are managing the system. That's what that study is for. But it is certainly available if you'd like to see it.
I would. And if it's being used as the basis for asking for such a large expenditure outside of the budget cycle, I think it's very reasonable that it should be reviewed at least by the Utilities Committee. And if nobody has seen that report, I think that it's important that the report get reviewed. It was used as the basis for asking for this, correct?
These are electrical engineers that have put that report together, and then the operations people have reviewed that as well as ARP. So, yeah, it's a reasonable request. You can look at the report. You can find how to balance the town and the circuits, and you're more than welcome to look at it.
Yeah, I think her main question is us as the governing body who is ultimately responsible for the city's finances. Nobody has seen the report until, even today, unless I missed something, I haven't seen the report until we're here seeking an ordinance asking for $683,000 in budget. There's no way we can, even if it is absolutely needed, there's no way we can, in good faith, just say, yeah, somebody said that. But if nobody has seen it, the ones that are responsible for the money, that's why we're going. It's like, it would have been nice to have seen a copy of this report prior to. I get it, it's in operations and all that, but we are the ones ultimately responsible for the city's money. It should have been given to us prior.
Both the city, the city,
Mike?
the utility board, I feel, should have requested that and looked it over prior to giving it to us. And then if they're not concerned about looking at it, then, or were they?
Question, I thought in the utility meeting, they were told that the JK study was the foundation for why the request was being made.
That's the way I understood it.
The two council people on utilities board went through the study, couldn't find anything, brought it to the attention of Mr. Jackson, and he said I was referencing a completely different report. So I do think utilities has done their due diligence, and this was brought up out of cycle with budget and capital requests, so I think the amount of scrutiny that it's getting now is perfectly appropriate.
Is this the only study that's been done on these two transformers? Just back in two breakers in 24?
No, I believe that these have been on the horizon. I can't tell you the last time we had a study done, but we have engineers employed every year on retainer that look at our system And all of these things have been evaluated. And, you know, they're 1960s models.
You know, because it went from being a review to them being critical.
Well, they are critical to the operation of the system. That's the proper word. They are critical to the operation of the system. One of them is leaking oil out of a bushing. That's 69,000 volts. You just can't go up and wipe it off and fill it back full of oil.
But it wasn't noticed until the Colorado Light and Power audit?
We've had our eye on this for quite some time.
Okay. But it wasn't realized to be critical until the...
Now, we know that those breakers are critical to the system.
I think what she's getting at though, Bill, is if we know it's critical and we know that we need to replace them and we know we may have the funds available, why weren't we being proactive on this and putting it in at budget time when we
Because I wanted somebody other than me, like electrical engineers, to do this for a living, to tell us these need
But
to be
what you're
replaced.
saying too is you're saying that we have engineers, we have these people on, you know, payroll to look at this and go through this. So it's a little concerning for me that we're waiting for these ones for this, but on the other side we're not.
I'm not following.
I think,
I'm really not.
I think so. So were these on a previous report or assessment that you guys have had before?
We've assessed these before.
But at those points in times, were they not necessary for replacement?
Chris, can you give me a hand here?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go back a little bit. This is what took place. So we do have a consultant engineer in place. They're Atwell Engineering. So they've been looking at this, they've been telling us this for years. Okay. So we've been kind of just putting a Band-Aid on things. Before me and Bill, it was Ruben, De Leon, and Lloyd Smith. So, not saying they didn't take care of business, but they did add another sub to our system. And that was the main project at that time. And I'm sure it was well over $1 million for that substation over by the compactor. That's only 20 years old. So what they did there is they split the load because we were having issues and we couldn't take a sub out of service without another sub in place. So anyways, that don't matter. So Atwell has been talking to us about it. So behind the scenes, City Light and Power, it's not Colorado Light and Power, it's City Light and Power. They've been working with ARPA. They came in, they wanted to do a model on our system. They did it with Los Angeles, all of ARPA members. So they came back and they, like Bill said, it was the most critical part. There's other things on it. I'd once said a while back, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's on the distribution side, since we have a warehouse with transformers. We have these things already in place, ready to go. Transmission side, that's a whole different beast. That's a whole different thing. That's what our power comes in, and then it goes through the breakers to protect the transformer. Transformer's down to a lower voltage, goes to another breaker, and then goes to all the distribution breakers throughout our system. It's like a breaker on your house. It's protecting all your appliances, it's protecting everything. This is just a bigger magnitude. It's the same thing, it works the same way, it's protecting. So then I started, I put out to all these engineers to see if they could come look at our system. I had some people call, they wanted to do it over the phone, they wanted me to send all this information, and I did. Well, then we had an engineer firm, Eaton, that we deal with on transformers. They brought 4 engineers down. We all worked together. They took pictures. They're the ones that said, hey, these need to be changed. And it ain't something that you could just go get overnight. So we're starting the proactive. Yeah, it wasn't done a week or day or a year before we brought it, but it is proactive. So I don't want to scare the customers. If we lose the system, we do have other ways of getting power back to people. We have a mobile sub, which is owned by ARPA, but that's a whole different thing because when we put that online, I think ARPA charges us to be using it. So we're paying on top of that also because they have a meter on it and any member that's using it is being charged for that. And then we have another substation I just talked about that we could swap load to that sub, we could swap load to the airbase sub. So I don't want to scare the customers thinking if these go bad, the whole town's going to be out of power forever. We have ways to split the load. Hopefully it happens. If it happens, it's in the wintertime, because in August the load's so high, then we're going to have flickering lights, and there's going to be a lot of stuff, people calling, complaining, calling the mayor. Why is my lights flickering? Why is my computer's going out? So we're trying to avoid those situations. So Eaton came down, they put something together. You know, it was only a month deal, and then they have to reevaluate it. So I kept calling them and say, hey, can you push it? Can you push it? We're in a situation where we have to explain this to Power Board, City Council. You know, I have bosses too. I can't just go buy something. So they're like, sure. So after this, if you guys, you know, go ahead, I'll have to call them back and say it's a go or it's a no, either way. There's ways to get in this. So these breakers, they comes in from Tri-State Sub, that's on Highway 10. They have a breaker also. So we had issues before with this certain breaker that protects the light plant sub. When we went and did some work, it was like 4 in the morning, we took the power out. I don't know if you guys remember that. We had to swap some stuff over. We could not auto close it in. So we had to go out there and manually close it in. So to close in on close to 3,000 customers, it was pretty intense, but we did it. Our job is dangerous. So I looked into it, and they're like, yeah, you're having issues. You're having that bushing leaking. So we had issues with the other breaker that is the breaker for the industrial park. Both breakers are in the same place. One protects the town, and one protects the industrial park. And that one has leaks also. And we have to refill it with some gas to keep the system warm and everything from freezing. They're outdated, they're old, but we've been aware of this for quite some time. We're just trying to work around it. We finally got some engineers to come in. We have it on paper. So, and the engineers that came in and told us this, they weren't trying to sell us something and be like, oh, you need it. We better get it. Because the engineers that I got a hold of were these engineers. These engineers came and said we have a problem. So we had 3 engineer firms say we have a problem. Eaton that came down and actually took the initiative to help us out, because we are a small town. They gave us a report. Did you guys get that?
I have the Eaton report.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
But the Eaton report they're also the ones that are quoting us, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So anything transmission under $1 million, because I've been here 20 years. Under $1 million is a deal. Initially, when I saw the report and I was just going through it real quick, 600 and some thousand, I thought it was just for 1 breaker. When I realized it was for 2 breakers, I was like, dude, we need to jump on this. I understand you guys don't understand it because it's $600,000, but that $600 with the money that from the lights being on and people paying their bills, if we have the lights off, we're not making no money. And I'm trying to treat it like a business like that. So.
And I think everyone understands how important it is, how crucial it is. The concern comes from when, you know, we're kind of not all speaking the same language, number one. When we're told it's, you know, due to this thing and it's not due to that thing, it's due to a whole different study.
Right.
Okay? What you just explained was far more than I was led to believe in the first place.
There's a lot of behind the scenes going on.
And with the same thing though is we have a budget process that we have to answer for, that we have to be accountable to, that, you know, the city trusts us to do. I'm the last one that wants to get a call that the power's out or that you guys are having to go look for this, that, and the other. But we want to just make sure everything's on the up and up.
And like I said, all this comes, me and Bill sit together, we work together, we go through it. You know, everybody's doing a job. Everybody, from our apprentice up to Bill. Everybody's doing something to try to make this for the future. And I just, like I said, I didn't want to scare the public and be like, oh, if they go out, we're gonna be in the dark. We may for a little bit, but there is ways to split the load. And like I said, Lloyd and Ruben putting together that substation really made a difference, because before that we had the plant running. So that was our backup. That's why we only had the 2 substations. Once the plant was decommissioned and can no longer help the load out because the loads got bigger, then we had to do something different. And that's the reason why that substation was built.
Yeah, and like we said, I don't think there's any issue with, you know, the operations side of it. You know, everything that you guys have done. It's the main issue is basically the communication from all that work to ultimately the people that are responsible for the bill.
Right, and I understand. And like
so that's the biggest thing. There's no question that, you know, oh, we don't really need this. It's just the timeliness of, you know, like I said, the bill payer,
right,
you know, kind of needs to know what they're paying before it's just here. And if we would have had these reports, you know, in our hands a little bit, then, you know, there'd be no questions. Because like I said, and I've said before, we have probably, we're lucky as a city to have probably the best electric crew around. I mean, just look at all the wind we got and anybody lose power. So we're not questioning the work that is being done. It's just the administrative side of things of we should have had this information so we can make that informed, you know, decision, as well as be able to answer to the constituents who'd be like, well, you know, what's all this about? So, you know, because we're the ones that end up, you know, getting questions on when we're spending, you know, money that wasn't in the budget.
Yeah, you see 683 is low for everything you're asking for, but someone else glances at that sees 683 as, what are you guys doing over there?
And that's why we're going to work together and kind of grow together with the information. The information you're going to get on this report, a lot of that stuff can be done internal. We have, like I said, we have a warehouse. We have some transmission poles that look pretty rough. If you guys see them, the big poles that are headed through town. I mean, you see them, they look pretty bad, but we're going to do some pole enforcer stuff. Because for every mile of transmission line, to rebuild a new transmission line is $1 million. So I'm trying to do is like, okay, we got pole enforcers, let's start here and get the base of them, because that's where they usually snap off with the wind and rotten. And we'll put some, and what pole enforcer is, it's a big metal beam that you slide into the ground, and it gives that pole more life. It doesn't help anything above it, but a lot of our problems are right at the base when a pole snaps. So you're going to see a lot of stuff that we didn't say to you, because we could do that in house with the stuff, the material we have at the warehouse. But the breakers, anything transmission is a whole different problem.
And we knew that this was going to be something that was going to be coming up a while back, right?
Yeah, you know, my whole career I've known, but like I said, they focused on that substation for a reason. I'm not saying they just held back and didn't do anything. They did stuff on top of all the daily stuff that goes on. And that substation was one of the most important things that Lahana.
But we just didn't have an idea to say, everyone was warned that this is something that's going to be coming up, but never said like it'll be millions.
Well, our power transformer is over $1 million. So we have protection on that 69 breaker on this side. We have the transformer in the middle, and then we have the distribution breaker, which is called the tie breaker. So the transmission breaker protects anything that comes on this side. If we have something going to the line, if we have a car hit the pole, any faults we have, protects it. It opens up the breaker, like a breaker in your house. On the distribution side, if we have anything, every circuit has a breaker. If it doesn't trip that, it'll trip the tie breaker, and it shuts everything off. So nothing gets, it's like chess, like the queen. Everything's protecting that, because that's the most important, most expensive, most critical part of the system. If that transformer goes bad, then that's a whole different deal. We can make it work, like I said, we can split loads, but you're gonna 5 years, and it's gonna be probably $2 million. It's a big expense, so we're trying to protect the most critical part.
No, I understand that part. I'm just saying, whenever it was brought to everyone's attention that these items were listed and what it was going to be, and to say we need to prepare or anticipate
a couple million or millions, like Bill said,
Right.
for this and all the other items on there.
Yeah, like
To know that it was gonna be
so
a lot, even though we know
the
it's
time that it
expensive.
came was when we were responsible for the system. Like you said, I started from the ground. I could have been a groundman and then go above. It's all chain of command.
Mhm.
You know, I can just, you know, so the time that we're taking care of business with the system is what we're bringing to you now. I don't know if it's not an appropriate time because it wasn't done 21 years ago, but it was an issue. And it lasted. And it may last 50 more years. But we really don't want to roll the dice on something that's aged that old.
How long is a proposal good for? Their prices?
It was month to month, so I've been calling them back just because they've been, you know, the discussion wasn't there. So I've been calling them and I'm like, hey, we got to go through these hoops, and they understand. So
That's the reasoning behind the untimely request instead of at a regular budget session.
So how would this project moving forward affect the other infrastructure projects that are just as critical? If we do
those
this?
ones, like I said, are mainly the distribution stuff,
Okay.
which is stuff that happens daily. Like we split the load, we could put a bigger transformer. Those transformers are at the warehouse. We could, you know, when we have a transformer blow up on us, we have them on hand, so we could go and replace them. The breakers, I mean, they're a year to 2 years out because they don't have them sitting on the shelf. They have to build them because if they sit something that expensive on the shelf, somebody's losing money.
I just think the biggest problem, and I understand it now, is that we want to be proactive in things, and it appears since this has been going on for so long that we're not being proactive. But I mean, you know, there's a timeline on this thing of 3 years possibly, and buying it now is better than waiting 3 years to buy it. So, I mean, that's how I see it. So I think you are being proactive. I think there's the issue is the transparency of the information. So I think if we can do a better job of forwarding that information ahead of time, so if we have that information and we're looking at a year from now doing something, then at least we're informed. So
No, these conversations are great. We're, like I said, we're working together right now, and that's the way it should be. You know, if you have any questions on the system and how things work, everybody here got my number, or, you know,
Chris?
we could do this.
If you were to order this tomorrow, when would we get it? When would we have to pay for it?
Usually when we get a transformer, we pay for it as we get it. It's not like we don't pay right away.
This one here, we have to pay some upfront.
How much?
Like that study says, we have to pay 30% to commence the engineering, the bill, yes.
Like 180.
And it's a big process. They'll come in again, and we'll go through the process with the lineman, because we have to make it safe for them to install it. We have to take the stuff out of service. We have to make sure the customers have power. So there's a lot of things that the linemen have to do, and we'll all work with the engineers to ground everything out so they can have a visual opening and a grounding opening, or a grounding system. So it's a big process, and that's from the incoming to the out, even to the communications through the SCADA, because that hasn't been working properly because it's such an old system that SCADA is usually new, and the communications, you know, they even told me it would be from that, a turnkey from there to the communications is, to me, it's amazing. But like I said, like you said, if you don't know, you know, $600,000, that's a lot of money.
I think if we can get a quick turnaround on the CLP engineering study, maybe to you and Patrick, just for you to check into and see if that's all up to your standards, would you be okay with that, or what are you thinking, Paul?
Well, I was going to recommend a joint session between the utility board and the city council.
Okay.
Because I feel like with the information that we moved this forward from the utility board to where we sit tonight, we didn't hear any of this. And thank you, Chris, for breaking it down to layman's terms.
How long would it be when you do pay the 30% to have it start commission? How long from that point to getting it in for you guys to be prepared to have?
So we have to work with them. I had told them I would rather have it in the colder months.
So,
Not freezing months, but colder because nobody wants to
so
work.
like maybe this winter, top of next winter?
Like I said, it's up to the engineers and what they put together, but I did tell them we can't do it in August in the hotter months because we have to split that load for people, and that's just too much. Lights would be flickering. You know, I can handle lights flickering, but if the computer goes out, you know, stuff's sensitive in people's house.
Well, there's a lot of people that work remote too.
Right.
So
So if you order it, you'll get it this year?
We're not ordering it. Once the contract goes through, if it goes through, they take care of everything. It's a turnkey deal. All we have to take care of is making it safe for them to install it. They're doing the cement work. It's a big deal. They even told me for each one with the cement, I mean, it should be a week that's quick. But there's a lot behind the scenes that have to take place that, you know, people don't realize.
Right.
Just like this whole process, there was a lot that took place.
But also, it could take 18 months to get the breaker actually in,
Yeah.
correct? Like, I know with residential electric
Yeah.
stuff has taken 18
To
months to get
have it
boxes
built
in.
and
Yeah,
everything, yeah.
and
That's
the price
long.
has quadrupled.
That's what we're
Yeah.
waiting. Once we get the breaker and they set a date and they get down here and the breaker's here, it's just work until they get installed. So they're gonna stay here. They're not gonna be like, oh, you know, it's time to go home. We'll be back next week, because they know that we need to get that in there so we can get that substation working.
We're gonna have a work session on economic development next Wednesday. If we did this at 4:30 for council and utility board, would that be doable? Because we shouldn't need more than 30 minutes to get better clarification.
What date did you say?
The 25th, is that correct? Because we're gonna be here at 5.
For the, yeah. For the
And if there's any other discussions I could have.
Well, you'll be here too.
The engineer could come down and talk to you about it.
25th, isn't it? Or the 26th? Let me check my email.
26th. Wednesday the 26th.
Yeah.
Wednesday the 26th.
That's economic development. Okay. Yeah, so if we do that at 4:30, I'll get with Patrick and Mal, I'll get with Patrick and Christian and get that going on that. It should be good to go. Make sure we have the CLP study so you guys can translate that to us. And
They did an amazing job on that too. I mean, just going through our whole system, it's amazing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You want that CLP study put on
Sorry.
I think we want to email to us.
email?
Yeah,
It's
as soon as
rather
possible.
large file, we can put it in Dropbox and mail you a link.
That'd be
That
fun.
works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
All right, my time. Board appointments.
We gotta take care of the minutes still.
We didn't have a motion. We did discussion. What are we gonna vote on?
Oh, you make a motion to table this vote.
No, we don't have to turn it.
No, it's just, we're not considering it.
Just hold that order for the special meeting.
Gonna wait for the work session, right?
Right? Yeah. So you guys, Bob's rules. Board appointments. I have the La Junta Urban Renewal voted to appoint Angel Saucedo to the La Junta Urban Renewal Board, term to expire 12/31 of 25. Same board, they want to appoint Zach Minor to the La Junta Urban Renewal Board, term to expire 12/31 of 25. If we do those together, we can do the other two together too. I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Angel Salcedo and Zach Miner to the La Junta Urban Renewal Authority Board.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. That passes unanimously. Then I had Nicholas Burdick voted to be appointed to the Library Advisory Board, term to expire 12/31 of 25. And Holly Huerta Hudak to the Library Advisory Board to expire 12/31 of 26. I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to appoint Nicholas Burdick and Holly Huerta Hudak to the Library Advisory Board.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Not, I'll ask for your vote. And that passes unanimously. Committee and board reports. I know Paul has one.
Okay, from the Senior Center Advisory, thank you for sticking around, Mr. Polly. I did see your proposal, and I think where we ran into some of the difficulty, there's no date and times on it. So for the advisory board to consider things, they need to have dates and times on it. And I guess that sounds overtly critical of you, but that's what was needed there. And I don't know if you talked to Celeste since then or since the last time, but I appreciate it. I think all your ideas are tremendous. As far as, and continuing on with the senior center, the Tai Chi classes have been suspended for a couple of months and holding strong at about 488 members. And Rockies games are available. Contact Celeste or the people at the front desk for those dates and times. And it's a heck of a deal to get tickets for the Rockies games. Moving on to the utility board, Chris is gone. And hopefully the cold weather's behind us with the snow on the sidewalk. One of the problems that arose this year was people clearing the sidewalks, either using a small plow or something, and they were hitting the bottom of those decorative lamp posts out there. And every time that happens, it creates a problem that costs the city money. So either exercise caution or maybe the city council will have to take further action on how we clear our sidewalks in the area. So, and just echoing probably the thoughts of everybody on council. Chris did a tremendous job tonight breaking down this transformer or breaker situation. So that's all I have.
Any other committee or board reports? Nope. City manager comments. Michael is in Las Vegas, and I have a report from him. Already. He's got around me, you, and Paul, and he's going to Vegas. To the council and the public, my apologies for not being there in person tonight. My oldest son, Austin, is joining the U.S. Army and swearing in today. Being a veteran, I understand the sacrifice he is about to make. Being his dad makes the opportunity even more special. I was able to attend the library board meeting on March 10th. As always, the library has so many unique opportunities and programs going on. I want to encourage everyone to go check in with the folks at Woodruff Memorial Library. I've been able to get out and about checking out city facilities and properties. I would recommend everyone get with Tom Seba and take a tour of the sewer treatment center. On March 11th, 2025, I met with and presented a city coin to Drew Yoakum of the electric department for his efforts in restoring power and assisting a resident. On March 12th, I met and presented coins to Frankie, Randy, and Gilbert of the street department for their outstanding dirt work performed at Potter Park, which was given high praise by Coach Hill. Their dedication to serving the community brings great credit to themselves, their families, and their departments, and especially the city of La Junta. I had the opportunity to meet with Mike and Keith on utility board regarding the ongoing Ark Valley conduit situation, and I look forward to working with the utility board as well as the AVC board to determine what the best path forward is for La Junta. I had a meeting with Pam in regard to economic development. We are planning a work session on March 26th. I met with Andy Flemmer from AVRMC. They are going to begin starting the process of bringing on a new internal medicine doctor. They are looking to partner with the city for incentive assistance. More information to follow on that. I cannot express enough my appreciation to the LJ community for taking me in the way they have. I appreciate everyone so much. I'm looking forward to the reception Friday, and I hope to see everyone there. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone I have not yet met. Again, thank you for understanding my absence in person this evening. I am still available by phone. If not, I will see you in the office on Tuesday. So, we can't ask any questions of that, but there's that report. When I talked to him earlier, his plane actually got delayed, so I don't even know if he's going to be here. If he would have been here, if we had to call him. Governing body comments. Do we have any governing body comments?
A couple of things. So just, I just want to make sure that the takeaway is clear on the conversation about the budget supplemental. We had a couple of requests last year for budget supplementals, and I was pretty consistent that I wasn't against trash trucks and I wasn't against paying our insurance premiums. I am very much for our departments planning ahead. And I'm very much for, if we know we're going to be paying higher insurance rates, that we put them in the budget appropriately. And it is, I think it's confusing to the public when we have a $600,000 bill come across and it is approved, and there doesn't seem to be any information or any conversation. So I very much appreciate Chris. I had watched the discussions at the utility board's meetings the last couple of times, and that's the information we need. And just as I could not get on board for the supplemental that had to do with the trash truck and insurance premiums, even though that's not what I was worried about, it was the process that bothered me then. It was the process that bothered me on this. When we had, I think the message had been received when we had the little trash or the street sweeper, and we were given information and there was a presentation made by city staff on why we were being asked for that as a supplemental, and we approved it. And I think information is power, and that is the only takeaway that should come from this this process. And I don't know anybody who's sitting up here that doesn't want to know more about why we're spending the money the way we are. We get to answer questions when we're at schools and Walmarts and what have you. So we want to have facts, and that is the only takeaway, in my opinion. I'm only one of 7 opinions, but that should be the takeaway. Not that we are against breakers or bringing forward items as they become necessary. So again, shout out to Chris. I appreciated him breaking it down. That was good information. I'm going to take a personal privilege. Today is officially my La Junta Day. I know we just did a bunch of, it was exactly 5 years ago right now. I was driving down from Denver with a handful of teenagers, a dog, and a canoe strapped to the top of my truck, and I've been a La Junta resident now officially for 5 years. So even though I'd spent a lot of time here, St. Patrick's Day will always have a special meaning for me as well, but this is La Junta Day for me. So glad to be here, and yeah, that's it.
You're not getting a pin though, Maureen.
No pen, just the canoe. Thanks.
I have to disagree with you to a point on your budget
Okay.
takeaway, because I feel that when we did talk about the trash trucks, that Martin did a really good job at getting us all of his information. And maybe was it a little bit different for you than with watching the utility board process?
It wasn't the trash truck. It was the insurance premiums.
Okay, but I just when we talk about trash trucks and the way the process is handled, I thought Martin did a phenomenal job of explaining how he did that. So I don't want him to fall into that category there. That's my only on that one. So
nope,
okay.
I agree with that.
Okay.
And even at the time, my concern was the payments for the insurance that we knew the premiums that we had known during the previous budget cycle, but it was easier to pass a budget that didn't have those premiums, and it was easier to.
I'll agree with that one, but not the trash truck.
You're right. The trash truck. My issue was not with the trash truck on that time.
Okay. Just a small thing. For all of us up here, I do want to say that we passed the resolution for the property management audit. Michael's not here, but I would like to see that on our agenda every month. Just have an update of where we're at on that, what's going on with that. That is a deal that we all, I think, really want to make sure we're getting to the bottom of. So I think we need to have an update on that from our city manager every month just to see where we're moving forward on that. I don't know if you guys all check your emails regularly. I'm going to assume that we all do. But I did send out an email about the vehicle use. Michael has already got to work on doing some stuff with that as far as city emblems on vehicles and looking at the vehicle use policy. I know Mr. Velasquez may want to add more to that, and if any of you want to, make sure it's being checked on in addition to what I did, feel free to get with Michael and voice your concerns on that vehicle use policy. My biggest thing was if we're not using them correctly and we ask something for the community, that's one of the first things they say. You guys have all these vehicles all over, and it's just really hard to build that trust if we're not doing our best to make sure that we're doing right with them. The other thing that I want to bring up too is that I had a conversation with Chief Quick, and we talked about speeding in La Junta. He is working on things to be more on the enforcement side of that, but there is warmer weather brings out people cruising and doing things around town, but it also brings out people playing with their families, walking their dogs and stuff like that. And we don't need any type of accident to happen before we start enforcing speed limits. We did have I won't say a mishap, but the speed trailer that we were looking into, that company is no longer going to be working with the city of La Junta. So Jen is working on finding other alternative options, hopefully here in Colorado, that we can look into if we want to go down that route. I don't know if they didn't feel we had enough volume or what it was, but they're going to be pulling their trailer out. And then before I leave, before I adjourn us, I want to make sure that everybody keeps a special prayer out there for Bob Blair, who has done so much for our community. He's going through a battle right now, and we want to make sure that we support him and send our prayers out to him, and also to the Salazar family, who had a horrible loss in their family, and they've been around La Junta for many, many years, and we want to make sure we send out our prayers to them as well. So with that, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for coming out tonight. And you can come to our work session next Wednesday at 4:30 if you really want to find out about electric, and 5 o'clock for economic development talks.
For the City of La Junta with your Southeast Colorado news on seconews.org, I'm Adrian Hart.
Kim.